You should be sitting straight, Mr. Ritesh. Otherwise, it will be a cross viewing. No.
No, it's not.
My mobile is kept. My mobile is slanted to the side.
Because you are on YouTube live, see, people will be seeing you. So it's almost 1.5 hours. They should see your face, no, yeah. They should not see your side face.
Yeah,
because we should honor the people also. No, they are.
Raja, we are live now on YouTube and also recording is started. So I want you to, I want to welcome everyone. And this will be the introduction part, and then we'll get into the main master class, which will be from Ritesh. So let's invite Raja Chokalingam to introduce a brief about himself. So maybe around 30 seconds to 1 minute max. Yeah, Raja.
Yeah. Good evening, friends. I'm really happy, excited to attend this our Mr. Ritesh webinar. I'm an entrepreneur from Bangalore. I'm an author. I've written a book called $1 Million Life, which you see the background of that. And I'm also into solar power. We are into solar power also. My children also joined me, and we are into solar power, rooftop, so solar power generation and maintenance. We do that. So and I'm an IITian. I completed my course during November 2020, and I am also as a trainer. I am also a coach trainer, and I want to pursue on that. That is my vision also. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Raja. Ritesh, you can stop the slide share now. Yeah, because as people are introducing, so that's the reason.
Yes, I've already shared. All of you can see my slides.
You can stop. You start at 8:15.
Okay, we'll start at 8:50.
Yeah. So just stop the screen share. You are sharing the screen, right?
Oh, should I stop it? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So let me invite Prabhakar Patil to introduce himself.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mr. Jain. Thanks for giving me an opportunity to speak. This is Prabhakar Patil from Bangalore. I'm working for a private organization called as AK Aerotech Software Center. I've been in as a deputy general manager, project services. So we are into aerospace and avionics software services, wherein we perform verification, validation, and design and development for the mission critical applications. And I've been an IITian for the last 2 years from Bangalore, from Mr. Rajan. Thank you. And I love participating in this webinar series. They are really interesting.
So thank you, Prabhakar, for introducing yourself. Let me invite Uma Ramesh to introduce.
Hello, good evening all. Yes, I'm a life skills trainer and coach, and I've done my training from the IITD. I have experience past 25 years in the IT sectors in the various fields. I worked as a trainer, HR, coordinator, counselor, and many things. I am associated with few NGOs at Delhi, and right now, last year we moved to Chennai, and so now I'm looking out for opportunities. Just this morning, I have given my first webinar session workshop I have given for Women's Day Special for the Cancer Institute at Noida.
Very good.
So there were at least 4 senior scientists, 2 directors, 2 managing directors, and the rest were all junior scientists, faculty from a college, and the freshers. So it went very well by the grace of God. I was very nervous. I got really nervous when I saw the names and designations. I have never been so nervous. But then once it started, it went very well, and I was appreciated by God's grace. And they've also said that they will get in touch with me for more workshops like this, and they've enjoyed the activity, especially today. So
thank you for introducing.
My session was on how to live a stress-free life.
Oh, great.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So next, let me invite Beena Srivatsa. Yeah. Beena Srivatsa.
Yeah, this is Bina here. I'm actually basically from a HR background, whereas I have not been working since around 2 years. And since around 2 years, I have started this sale of crystals, cosmetics, and jewelry at wholesale price. Actually, I got to purchase this from a well-known person who is already selling it. So he gave me this idea to get into this, and I have just been enjoying this or doing this. Uh, yeah, and thanks for this session. I'm excited to go ahead and learn something more.
Yeah. Thank you, Bina. Thank you for introducing and sharing information. So let me invite Suresh. Suresh, you're there?
Hi, this is Suresh here.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, I am driving. I stopped the car, so
Okay.
I don't know whether the audio video will come. Yeah, this is Suresh from Bangalore. I am trained in the IITD last year. We were that offline and online batch. I am an ex-banker, and now I started training people on investments in the share market. The last 25, 30 years, I've been doing the investments in the share market, and last 10 years, I'm doing it in a daily basis. I mean, whole time. So I thought I'll share my experience in the market, how to make money, and more importantly, how not to lose money. Also, I'm training people. That is a brief introduction of me. Thank
That's
you.
very interesting. Yeah.
Thank you, Suresh, for introducing. So can we have Mr. Regala here? Regala Ravikant. You can introduce maybe. Okay. So can we have Ravindra Mahajan? Ravindra.
Yeah, hi, this is Ravindra from Pune.
Yeah, hi, Ravi.
See, last 20 years I am working in education domain.
Okay.
We have various colleges, various schools. Majorly, I have had work with K-12 section with various companies. My last assignment was one of the Japanese company, and now I am planning to start my own business.
Okay. Thank you, Ravindra. Thank you for sharing that. So can we have Nikhil Pandey? Nikhil, you are there? Yeah, Ravindra. Nikhil? Okay, so Ravindra, you want to share something?
No, nothing. So please guide how can we proceed further, how we can get improvement in the business.
Okay. Okay, so thank you everyone for introducing, and those who can't introduce directly, maybe you can put it in the chat so that everyone knows about each further. And as people are joining, maybe because we have to, this session starts at 8:15, so that is that. And also this video also in YouTube live, so you can use that as well. So thank you everyone for joining today's session. Let me introduce myself. I'm a serial entrepreneur. Uh, I started my career at the age of 20 when I was doing my first year BCom. That was the first venture when I started. And I have been from different businesses from like garment manufacturing, then I worked in pharma industry, now in IT industry. So being having more than 25 plus years of experience, now we have created a platform called Amplify. It's a platform for all the trainers, mentors, coaches, consultants around the world. And this idea concept, which has been working from 2016. But before that, actually, I also organize events and training programs for startups and entrepreneurs and SME segment. So which we have been doing from 2008 onwards. So we have a group called as Bangalore Entrepreneur Meetup Group, and then we have Bangalore Book Club Group. So every month on month, we used to have an event where we invite the experts and trainers to share their knowledge as well. And we used to do offline events. See, only from last year we started the online part, but mostly we were doing offline event. And we have almost around 25,000 plus members in Bangalore Entrepreneur Group as well. And along with that, Bangalore Book Club, we used to meet alternate weeks on Saturdays and share about the books, share about the authors. Sometimes we invite the authors to come and share their pattern of writing and know how what made them to write, and so what are the challenges they have gone through. So it's like most of it, we had working professional from corporates coming in. So almost around 25-30 people we used to have every alternate week. That is, we are talking about offline part, because we used to meet in Kormangala, Indranagar, and MG Road, and we used to meet in restaurants. So that's how we have been doing. Now, from last after the COVID, we have doing online. We are doing last day of the month now, and maybe from April we might have 2 events per month in the book club part. So this session, what we are doing currently is to help everyone to grow. That is one. Second thing is also to launch your own programs. Right now, we are inviting the trainers and experts to share their knowledge. And also, what we are doing is, even if you have your programs and if you want to promote it, so we are there to help you out, because we are coming out with the portal where you can create your own event, you can promote directly. And if you feel that no, you need some help, then we can also help you in terms of how to position yourself and promote yourself. So that's the brief about myself and the about Amplify as well. So we have few people joined, like Kalpana. Kalpana, can you introduce yourself? We have Sunil. Introduce. Kalpana, you want to introduce? We have two
Hello.
more. Yeah.
Good evening, friends.
Good evening.
Kalpana. Yeah, I'm a ex-banker, and right now I'm working for SBI Life Insurance Company Limited as an insurance advisor, and I'm also a graphologist by profession and a IITD trainer, certified trainer. Yeah, from Mumbai. Thank you.
Thank you, Kalpana. Then we have Sunil. Sunil, do you want to introduce?
Yes, sir. I'm Sunil Kumar. I'm basically a graduate, and I'm a sales professional with around 25 years of experience. Worked with around multiple companies in telecom and office automation and retail sales. That's it about me, sir.
Okay, great. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Okay, is anyone else who have not introduced and want to introduce? Okay, so we'll move to the next part, directly to the session. So, thank you everyone for introducing yourself. And let me introduce a person who has been working for corporates, having experience of more than 18 years. And he is actually an agile transformation coach. And he has worked in various industries like finance, retails, in media analytics. And his vision is to facilitate and help individuals and companies through his venture, what he's started, Dexterity Venture. So he want to share his knowledge and also empower the companies and individuals to grow in their life. So let me invite Ritesh, and maybe he can add more about himself as we go through the session. Yeah. So over to you, Ritesh. Thank you.
Yes. So hello everybody.
Hi.
Hope all of you are going to have a very wonderful evening today. Well, from what I've heard so far, it's a very interesting mix. I think what I heard from all of you is, one of you is a psychologist, a behavioral training, a coach, a general manager, a HR professional, and an individual actually trying to sell crystals. One is an investment advisor, educational specialist, insurance advisor, and we also heard about a gentleman who's from telecom and retail. Yes, so while I actually, now that I know the audience way well, when I go through the slides and concepts, let me align these concepts to what you actually do and understand and see how we can get you guys on a better play. Is that fine, guys? So should we all get started? Excellent. So let me first go about to share my slides. Or Kushal, should we go about to wait for a minute? I can still talk about myself a little more.
Yes, you can. Yeah.
Excellent. So yes, as Kushal did introduce me to all of you guys, it's been on my 19th year in the IT industry. I've been working with multiple companies so far now. Started off as a developer, then I went on to become a business analyst. And with having gone through as a business analyst, then I became a Scrum Master and went into Agile Transformation in depth. Yes, but what is very important that we will do today is we should align what we understand as agile transformation to each of your domains, right? So that is something that we will try to understand on a general plane. And we will not get into any technical specifics because I don't think that will really help. But we will understand from the transformation sphere what it means to be agile. Yes, Mr. Raja, maybe the next book that you go about to write or pen would be more on an agile sphere, isn't it? How through agility would an author actually gain value would be quite interesting to know, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yes.
sure.
And of course, let's say even a person from who's a psychologist who's doing behavioral training, what does it actually mean to say that we need to, what are the elements of behavioral training that we need to bring in if an organization would need to be agile, correct? And
Sure.
when we say a coach, who actually is a coach in the transformation sphere? What is it that I understand I will share with you guys? Probably you can add value to that, right? And most important of all, HR. Does HR actually play an important role in coming to organization agility? There has been companies who are investing in millions to transform HR into the sphere of agility, right? And I will share my experiences as to what is the role of an HR when it comes to agility, right? And of course, and from an education perspective, what does it mean there? I'm sure some of you would have heard about the phrase called design thinking, right? So how do we bring design thinking in the sphere of an educationist or a person who's actually trying to sell software to education institutions? So we will touch upon each of these points as I go along. And I think from the ground reality or from the background of the audience, I think I will not go through every line of the PPT or the document, but I will touch upon some major points which can actually add value to your lives, right? So yes, guys, without much ado, let me start off with presentation.
Yeah,
And
Ritesh,
we'll take
also,
things.
Ritesh, you can also add more info points because as we are going YouTube live, so tomorrow or maybe after a week or a month, a lot of people will be viewing your YouTube videos, whatever you are going to share today. So not
Yes.
only audience what we have, it can be even more than that actually.
Okay, we'll do that. We'll do
Yeah.
that. Yeah, so guys, so just 1 minute. Let me switch on my presentation. Let me share my presentation. Sorry, share my screen. Yes, guys. All of you can see my slides.
Yes, indeed.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So yes, so welcome everyone, and let us try to understand what it means to lay our thoughts on what agile transformation is. Yes. So let me go on. I mean, this is my second slide, which basically talks about myself, which I've already shared with you guys to say that I have around 18 years of experience, worked in multiple transformation across multiple industries such as retail, finance, trading, and media analytics. Yes, so let's move on to slide number 3. Yes. So what do we call as agile transformation as a process? Agile transformation is basically hinting on to say how we can transition an entire organization into a very reactive approach-based execution model. What does it actually mean to say? I mean, and let's keep this session very interactive, please. So I will ask questions here and now. So please feel free to share your thoughts, and it doesn't need to be right or wrong. It's just that we share and we add value to each one of us. Now, I think I heard a person who is into behavioral training. So, ma'am, what would you think as to what actually is agility, or what is the value that you think you're actually trying to add there? Sorry, did I get it
P
wrong?
by production capacity is at least 1 for any employee.
Capacity, very right. So how do you manage that capacity? I mean, yes.
I'll give you in a formula simply. P by
Yes.
PC, production by production capacity is 1. Then you are a true employee, and your behavior, your salary, everything is intact with the aligned with the corporates or companies. What do you call your salary, your timings, your position, everything. That is called,
Okay.
I'm interpreting in a concrete manner, not to waste anybody's time.
No, sure.
Thank you.
Excellent. See, for me, when I basically see what I mean by value is nothing but your customer experience, right? It is not that we're not in a mechanical world wherein we basically go about to work in fixed hours and basically try to go about to deliver deliverables or completing activities without having to think about value, right? Which is nothing but the customer experience, which becomes an outcome. What is the outcome of your particular activity that you are trying to execute? Now, Mr. Raja, you went on to write a book, right? Now, when you were actually trying to write the book into different chapters, did you actually think of, I'm sure you would have, but just getting a little more deeper into your thoughts, how did you go about to align and see that the outcome of the book that you went on to write actually added value to the people?
Definitely. See, we are seeing people in the perspective of Atma. I'm seeing people in this perspective of Atma. I'm communicating with another person. He is also equal to me. He is not inferior to me. So when I'm seeing that in that angle, that human consideration comes first. Actually, I'm not trying to. It is not money oriented here. It is emotional oriented. It is emotional. I have got some experience. I'm trying to give it back to the society. So exchange of emotions, exchange of our challenges, our views, our mindset, everything.
Excellent.
So I'm dealing with people. No, so I'm dealing with people. So I value that person more than the money.
Excellent.
Content.
The value proposition that you went on to bring before you went on to write the book was on the human connect.
Connectivity, correct.
Isn't it? That human connect was the value that you went on to appraise.
Yes.
Similarly, if you went on to work, we had one education domain expert, isn't it? The whole idea of, trying to, let's say, let's say you're trying to sell a mathematics syllabus packaged to a 5-year-old. How would you bring value to that 5-year-old?
By diagrams. You should only show it the 5 apples means 5 apples, 5 orange. By diagrammatic only we have to explain it to the children. Then only they can understand. You put directly numbers, they will not understand that. No.
Very good. So the idea here is how you could associate the concepts to the pointers or the ideas that he or she is very familiar with.
Yes.
That is value. What are the things that a 5-year-old is very familiar with at that age, or a 5th standard student familiar with? Maybe cartoons, maybe cricket. So how can you bring in cricket as an option to learn mathematics? How can you bring in cartoons as an approach to filter in mathematics know-how to an individual studying in a 5th standard? The concept of gamification.
Yeah.
Have any of you heard about this phrase called gamification?
Yeah, gamification we have
Veena,
heard. Yeah.
Uma, please feel free to share. This is not, one way. Let's keep it very interactive. What do you say, Bina? I'm sorry if I'm picking out names. Might find it very uncomfortable for some people, but please let me know if you feel uncomfortable. But anyway, Seema, is there Uma? Sorry, is there something that you would like to share at this point when I'm talking about value?
Value is, what should I say? First, we are giving values means, according to me, first you should teach them how to respect human beings.
That's a different dimension. See how interesting this conversation becomes.
Yeah.
Value, from your perspective, is a foundation to a set of practices. Correct?
Right. So
correct,
you put
wonderful,
it.
Isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
So
only
yes.
with that, because this will develop into good hobbies and then attitude, and then it pushes them to a good altitude finally. That is what I
Excellent.
believe in.
And without values, can an organization exist? Can an individual exist? Can a team exist?
Never ever, sir.
Excellent. So please, all of you, take the first point. Then agile transformation is all about setting up the foundation to set up sound practices through which you will deliver customer experiences as a subset of value.
Yeah, some corporates call it code of conduct. Some corporates call it the values, and they may be depicted in a different ways, but they are all leading to the same results.
Very good.
Intention is the same.
Yes, an individual. I'm sorry, I'm speaking to the individual who was actually selling crystals. Sorry, I did not get your name.
This is Uma, sir.
Oh, Uma only, right? So Uma, when you're actually trying to sell crystals to the individual, right? So how do you ensure that you're actually bringing value? Understand, as you said, understand the emotions attached to the service or the product that you are trying to sell. Do you agree with me, Uma?
Perfect, sir.
What is a crystal to an individual? Engagement, wedding, birthdays, love, right? So the first principle that is very important in line to the audience that I see today is, again, let me put it across very clearly, setting up the foundation, enabling practices, thereby to enhance customer experiences as a subset of value. That is your first approach to each of your businesses. Now let's move on to the next important aspect, which is structure. Right? So what do we understand by structure? There was a gentleman who was from retail. Sir, what would you think is structure, please? No, it's okay. I mean, if you guys are not sure, but we can go more to the next person. And I mean, there was a gentleman who's the general manager for software services for mission critical applications. Sir, what would you understand of what actually structure and how important do you think is structure in your domain?
So I think when we say structure, I think probably if with respect to an organization, there is an organization structure.
Okay.
For instance, in my small organization, we have MDs and program managers.
Okay.
Under the program managers, we have project managers. Under the project managers, we have team leads. Under team leads, there are engineers who perform activities for that. specific task.
Yes.
So there is a hierarchy, and each one does a specific job. So it's clearly defined. So in case somebody has to speak to the customer, then there is one person, a representative, who speaks to the customer. So that which has a clear-cut distinction, which is also shared to the customer or to the stakeholders.
Excellent, sir. Very well put. But my question to you, in addition to what you have said, is
Yep.
does structure actually matter? Can't we not have just a set of people playing a set of roles and actually deliver value to the customer?
I think
We have the
structure.
hierarchy pyramid.
Yes. Excellent, ma'am. Those hierarchy pyramid that we actually follow, I mean, how does it bring importance to value delivery?
Each one is responsible for a specific delivery task.
Yes.
Like in
Right.
case I am a programmer, so
Uh-huh.
my task is to develop that logic or program, give it for testing, ensure
Yes.
that it meets the standard, the design standard, the customer requirements.
Yes.
So that's where I add value. But
Right.
whereas a tester may add value when he tests and finds bugs, reports that to me.
Yes.
And
Now
finally, when the
yes, sir. Yes. So let me correct.
end
I mean,
product goes, probably the delivery manager who delivers it.
excellent, excellent point. Now let me add little more to what you have said. Now the logic, the program that you basically go about to write as a developer who writes it, a person who tests it, and the person who basically manages everything and finally delivers it to the customer. Are we very sure to say, or does that guarantee to say that what we actually deliver is always in line to what the customer actually wants? That the reason behind why I'm asking you that is the structure is important, but the structure must be aligned to what the organization finds the value, the flow of value in the organization. What I'm trying to say is, Raja, for example, if I have to take your example, it is not that you went on to write chapters arbitrarily, isn't it? Every chapter that you basically define connected to the next chapter's idea.
Sure.
If you went on to put the first chapter, put the last chapter, and went on to put the fourth chapter next, will it actually add value?
No, it'll be very confusing.
But still it follows the structure.
Yeah.
Correct?
Structure will be there. Yeah. Structure will be there.
Very, very important. The structure that we talk about must be aligned to the flow of value that the customer perceives.
Right.
So second important point to understand to bring better performance in your organization is align structure to flow of value. It is not just having a structure by itself. How does the structure subjugate to the flow of value is very, very important. Correct? So that is the second point that I would want to bring up. The third next is what we call as agile teams. What do we understand by the word agile? Agile here references to speed. It references to being flexible. Right? Now, let me take up an example of, let's say, HR, yes? We had one or two individuals who were from the HR, Bina and Uma. Now, when you went on to actually write policies to the organization, does that mean to say that a policy when written always stays rigid till the lifetime of the organization?
No. Policies keep changing.
Why should it change?
Changing with times, changing with the new acts, new laws.
Contextual, right? So
Yes.
that is what is very important. Your operational aspect of your organization must be aligned to the changing context of the outer world.
Yes.
That is what we call as agile teams. The people who work in your organization must be flexible enough to change to line with the changing external context. Raja, the next time if you are, when you're trying to write a book, right? I'm sure you would do this, but think about the context. What are the changes that are coming out with the individual behavior? What is the society that is accepting and not accepting? Many a times I have examples of multiple authors where they have done an excellent writing on a particular topic, but it fails in the market.
Yeah, that happens.
Why does that happen? The essential part of that book.
Marketing might be a problem. Publishing marketing, mostly the marketing is an issue actually there.
Yes. Why does marketing actually fail? Marketing is all about obtaining a connect with your customers, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Can you, if you went on to write an aspect which is found in South Africa, which is considered a taboo in Indian culture.
Yes.
Would you end up being successful even though you do a good marketing, you write a topic on that book and actually try to sell? What really happens?
It will be a failure.
It is going to be a failure.
Yeah.
So the third very important aspect that you guys must understand when to bring in performance in an organization is have teams or individuals being able to adapt to changing external context. Right? So, yes, Raja, when you're also playing the role of a coach, you might, what does actually mean a coach, right? When I play the role of a coach, I need to very well understand where that person has been, where the person is actually going to move forward.
Yes. After my training, where is he? What is that he is going to attain?
Correct, isn't
the
it?
Knowledge, whatever knowledge or experience or challenges, whatever I'm trying to transfer, he should be in a position. I should know at what level he is there. Then I have to upgrade him to the next level.
You should meet him half step ahead of him.
Yes.
Meet him, be aware of him, and meet him half step away.
Yes.
That is what do we understand by contextual thinking. Very, very critical. No matter what business you follow, if you do not understand your customers, do not understand the context in which you're operating, you fail.
Sure.
Right? And the next important thing that we'll go on to, what we call is the backbone. Your backbone actually refers to the integration of your processes, people, and technology. That is the first aspect, right? Raja, again, let me take another example here. If you, next time that you write a book, imagine you only go about to write only in hard copies.
Okay.
How successful would you think you would be?
Of late, people are not reading hard copies. They are only looking into e-books.
Excellent. So unless you basically map your technology to your operations,
yes,
you are not going to be successful. Right?
Yeah, sure.
And let's move, a quick example on HR too. When you try to bring in your policies into an organization, if you do not have your policies aligned to the technology that is being used. Now, when I say technology is technology awareness and also safety, correct? HR relates to also to safety of women. And how safe could you need to be when you're using a particular technology? Let me cite an example here. When we work with multiple customers asks us to work within what we call as a specific ODC in an organization. When juniors come into the organization, they are so excited. They walk into the ODC, starts taking selfies in the ODCs. The moment you take a selfie within an ODC, unfortunately, you are terminated.
Oh my God.
Because that relates to customer privacy.
Yeah.
Beena Uma, do you agree to this? There are multiple instances that this has happened, isn't it?
I'm there.
Sorry? Sorry, I didn't hear you. But anyway, yes. So whatever you actually tend to do has to be aligned to the process and also be aligned to the technology that is currently being used, right? That is what we call as the backbone to your operational activities. And finally, and the next important thing that is very important is, if you do not have a roadmap, then you do not understand where your destination is. No matter what you actually do, no matter, as we said, one of the gentlemen who's working on with investment, isn't it? If you do not understand what are the different issues that are faced, which actually lead to multiple losses, if you do not have a roadmap for yourself, then you lead to a lot of investment losses, isn't it? So a roadmap here is more like, once you have a vision, you would need to understand how would you go about to reach that particular destination, which is nothing but your desired state, right?
Yes.
So again, the first 5 points, very important in today's organizational execution or enhancing your company's performance. First is value, wherein you need to set up a foundation to bring in a set of practices. Practices must be aligned to customer experiences. It is not just about executing something on a regular basis. You might execute very well, but you might end up bringing out something which the customer does not want. All of you agree to that? The next important is the structure. The structure that you would need to follow in behavioral training, when you're working as a coach, even as a general manager, HR, in whatever domain that you follow, your structure should be aligned to the flow of value. Third important is the people that you work with must have a mindset of aligning themselves to continuous change. And this, I think, is very important when you are trying to develop mission critical applications. There are contextual changes. Here in the context, it could also mean regulatory changes within the government. Government can bring up with a lot of these policies which can have a direct impact on the applications that you're actually trying to develop which are mission critical, right? And the next important aspect is to whatever you are actually trying to develop, whatever you are doing operationally must be aligned to technology and the mindset, right? And the next important thing, very important, is unless you're very clear as to where your destination is. How do you get to know where your destination would be? By creating a roadmap. It can be a transformation roadmap. Anything that you do is a transformation, isn't it? In behavioral training, if you're not very sure as to what would be the end state or the desired state of an individual undergoing behavioral training, how would you get to finally assess to say that individual has done well? So that is again is very critical when we talk about through the agile transformation process. Now, and the next foundation to the first five set of aspects are now focus on roles, but the roles should be flexible enough, right? That is also very critical. Now coming to risk management. How do you handle risks when you're actually having the context continuously changing? Could I ask this question to the individual who's on the education domain training actually? How do you manage risk there? What is a risk? Anybody, please, if anybody would like to answer.
Risk is something that is either anticipated or not anticipated, which hinders our schedule or delivery or quality of delivery.
Very good. So how would you want to handle it?
We need to mitigate the risk, or there could be
very important.
Some advanced planning.
Yes, sir. Yes. Please continue before I add my point.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. Identifying the risks. There could be known risks and unknown risks.
Very good.
Known risks, maybe there could be mitigation plans. For unknown risks, identify them and see how we can avoid those risks. That's what probably.
Very
and
right.
Also, we share those risks along with the customer.
Very right. Now, what is the problem here? We are all doing risk management.
Yeah.
There is no organization which is not doing risk management. But what is the problem here? They emphasize action post occurrence of a risk or an impact.
Preventive measures. Preventive measures.
Preventive is what actually helps.
Yes.
So how do you bring this preventive risk management? Preventive risk management, please put this point somewhere. Preventive risk management is done by having flexible planning, not rigid planning. Raja, the next time you write a book, why the first 2-3 chapters, which holistically gives out the idea of what the book is, share it with just 10 people and see what is their reaction.
Yeah, it will be definitely different. Everybody will have their own opinion on that. We cannot satisfy.
Correct.
Everybody we cannot satisfy.
We cannot satisfy, very true. But the idea is to get a notion as to what people think, right?
Yeah.
And filter that notion. The idea of risk management here is plan, develop, show it to the customer in small chunks. Right? You don't have to, Raja, you don't have to completely give out the ending to the customer.
Okay.
But get a feel of it, the first 2 chapters, just out of the synopsis of it. Get a feel and ask them the question. What do you think? What do you think? How do you feel about this? That is what is called as design thinking. Creating a hypothesis, testing the hypothesis, obtaining feedback, tailoring that feedback continuously. That way, you avoid huge losses. If you come to know that one of the initiatives is not going to be prosperous, you can ditch the initiative right and then there and start the new initiative. Earlier, what would have happened is they would have spent a lot of money on that initiative for 1 year down the line, sent it to the customer. Customer, if he's not happy, what happens to all that investment cost?
Yeah, R&D has to be done. R&D has to be done. R&D, that is what R&D is about.
Isn't it?
Yeah,
so that R&D, many a times we fix ourselves only in chemical industry or something else. But how about bringing this kind of learning in everything that we actually try to do?
Good idea.
Isn't it? Isn't it, Raja?
Good idea. Good idea. We have to.
So that is what is agility, right? So
So
that
may
is,
I speak some?
yes, please.
It's like the TNA before you go for a training,
Yes,
right? So first we need to analyze completely. That is,
yes,
you understand the audience and the participants completely. Then
yeah,
you can go ahead. So
very
same
good.
way, I think this is the way. I think this is what you are trying to tell us.
Exactly.
If my understanding is right.
Very right, madam. That is exactly what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, thank
We
you.
cannot foresee the exact outcome of a particular initiative over a long period of time. We need to be very iterative. That is the phrase. Be iterative. And many a times, why does organization so many fail? They are very adamant to change. One example I could give you. How many of you, all of you must
Nokia.
have seen Kodak?
Kodak, Nokia.
Exactly. Why has Nokia actually gone under a loss?
Yes.
They could not foresee, understand the essence of iPhones or completely a graphical mobile device, right?
Yeah.
So that is what actually failed. Even in your daily tasks, if you constructively take feedback, on a whole, analyze. See, I'm not saying that moment somebody says you change. That is not the idea. You bring analysis into your perspective on an iterative fashion. Actually delivers a lot more value to what you're actually doing now. And this is what we understand by agility. All of you have certain points, which I'm sure, by maybe from tomorrow, you can start putting things into practice and see how things go. Right? So yes. I'm sorry, I'm not getting you too much technical stuff because I'm sure if I get into continuous deployment pipeline, getting into a lot of other things may not actually bring value because the audience is very different, right?
Yes.
And my planning is agile planning. Now, what have it's just not to, to your needs. I'm actually trying to modify my plan of execution in the presentation.
Okay.
I do not, the whole idea is what? So again, very important is, guys, when you actually want to execute something in your organization, right? Do not follow a rigid plan. Sequence your actions accordingly is very important to actually deliver value. Now, this one example, let me take as a coach. When you try to coach an individual, does every individual hold the same mentality?
Definitely not.
So can you actually plan your coaching agenda?
No, we cannot do that. We cannot do that. We have to. We can have a standard wherein 50% we can go above and go below. We have set a standard and plan according to that.
The first 2 or 3 questions can be generic, but based on the response of the individual, based on the body behavior of the individual, based on the cultural context of the individual, you will tailor your coaching.
Yes.
You will tailor your execution.
Yes.
You will tailor every thought process that comes. So what you finally deliver is not output, but is outcome.
Yes.
All of you with me, guys, or sorry if I'm boring you guys?
No. Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Excellent. So yes, so generally, let me tell you what really happens when I follow an Agile Transformation roadmap. Is basically we start out first by understanding the problems. Understanding next is how do we bring in a better organization culture? And once we understand the organization culture, how do we bring in an organization effectiveness plan? And most important of all, why many transformation fails is because leadership is not with us towards the transformation. Leadership is not very supportive. How many of us actually has felt this in our career? We have a gentleman who is, working in telecom and retail, right? What about you, sir? Have you had experiences where, when you tried to do something, but because the leadership was not with you, you actually failed?
Yeah, it normally happens actually. If your boss is not good, you cannot execute anything. It all depends upon his mood and his ambitions and what he wants to say. Some people are dictators, so they only dictate whatever they say. We have to do it. That's all. So with such people, you cannot execute all your plans at all. You are only a null and void.
Correct.
Most of them behave like a boss, not like leaders.
Yeah,
So
Very
there's a
right,
lot.
madam.
dictators. They are dictators actually.
Now, let me phrase a word here, very important. Please put it down somewhere and read through more about it. It is called as command and controlism behavior.
Yeah, bossism.
Yes, this command and controlism behavior must be melted down to carry a servant leadership. So guys, any of you have heard about this phrase, what we call as servant leadership?
No.
Yes, so let me give you an example.
Actually, one of the in my batch IITD, one of the
Yes.
senior person, his topic itself was servant. This thing, sir. Leadership.
Yes, servant leadership.
Yes.
Today's or leaders, they should actually be developing people, not carry command and controlism. How do you bring in intrinsic motivation in individuals? Right? What do we understand by intrinsic motivation? Why did Mr. Raja actually write a book? Sure, there are different things that people can do, but
Yes.
why write a book?
To motivate people to exchange ideas.
That is something which energizes you.
Yes.
So in today's world, the leadership is about how do we energize individuals. And please understand, although many of us take it granted to say that money energizes people, that is not the case. There has been scientific studies which has been done, and please do read a book called Drive. That actually tells you that when you intrinsically motivate people, so when I say intrinsically motivate is encourage them, do not find faults and failures. Now this is a change that we need to bring in the HR. That is why a lot of these companies around the world are investing in millions to change the mindset of an HR. Now, HR generally, how do they award people? They award by individual contribution, correct?
Yeah.
How do we start
Yes,
to
that's true.
award? How do we start to award team contribution? When we actually do our appraisals, should it not be in line with team contribution? Why should it be individual contribution? I understand, unless there is individual, there is no team, but still, what is the outcome of it? The team performance. It is not an individual performance. The moment you start to award the individual performance, that gives birth to politics.
Sir, it is more of individual integrity.
Exactly. Individual integrity plus aligned to team performance is very, very important. This is a change which organizations are trying to bring, but it's very difficult. Especially Indian culture, it still be very difficult. In an IT, there is some amount of progress. But if you go to a machine tool company and you expect everybody to actually work as a team, you will be in trouble. You have to call our seniors as sirs, and his seniors will be very big bosses. And in very big machine tool companies or very industrial sectors, the boss never sees their individuals anytime, right? So this change has to happen, and it is going to take time, right? So this is very, very important. So the focus on leadership training and define what is a transformation approach. This is something I would like to. Let's a quick tab on the time, please. Sorry, I was very excited and kept talking.
9:10. 9:10.
9:10. Okay, another 5-10 minutes. Then
No
I will,
problem.
and then we can close. But of course, the slides were more aligned to technical transformation indicate, but still, I'm really enjoying the session though.
It is 9 o'clock actually. Another 15 minutes you have.
Sure.
And then it's Q&A.
Yes, please. Okay. Let me tell you, this is a very important step in a transformation approach, right? Now, when you're actually trying to transform, for example, let's take a very layman example. Our best friend is a serious smoker, for example. How should we go and transform him? Can I go to him and say, boss, now you stop smoking? You please listen to me. What is he going to say? Please get lost. Correct?
F you'll say.
Yeah, even before I finish the statement, he'll say get lost. So what is very important when you want to bring in, what is transformation? Is change, correct?
Yeah.
Even it can be your son or your daughter. How do you bring a transformation change? You lecture him, you will get a scolding. These days, kids, they are very, very mature and they are very, they need their freedom, they need their space, correct? Now, what is very important to understand, the two ways of approaches that you need to follow here is, one, identify cost drivers or cycle time drivers. So what is cost drivers? What is driving to be of a very high cost in the process? Right? Now, let's take an example of, education. Like, you want to sell a mathematics package or a software to a fixed standard holder. Now, would you immediately, if you want to start a business on it, would you overnight start to develop something and start to go about to try to make a sale? No, right?
Not possible.
So what is it that you need to understand? Here,
first you should know what the market requires. First, you should analyze the market, as you said.
Yes.
Then you should prepare the curriculum as per the requirement of that. Then you should start marketing it stage by stage.
Exactly.
It is a procedure. It is immediately you put the seed, you will not get the fruit. It takes time.
Now, when I say cost drivers, please understand, it is all about trying to experiment, inspect and adapt. Inspection and adaptation is what? You do something, understand the cost of it, you try showcasing it to the customer, obtain feedback and make changes. That way your cost remains very minimal. So what are the cost time drivers for you? Cost drivers. It is planning, innovation, right? And then, what others can we think of here? With innovation, yes.
Execution.
Yes, execution also is very important. Here again, execution refers to not serially executing. It's not that, you go face after face and immediately deliver it. Correct? So that is very important. Involve the customer way early is very important in your transformation. Yeah. And just to give that example to my best friend who is a very serious chain smoker, ask him as to what is the cost that he would bear by he continuously smoking. One is a financial cost, which he will not understand at this point. Next, second is the cost to health. So what are your cost drivers? Very important. And next is cycle time drivers. Your cycle time drivers basically means from the point you start to take something and you execute, how long will you take? Now, Raja, if I have to relate to you, if you went on to write, how many months did you take to write this book?
2 months.
Fine. Imagine you took about 2 years to write this book. Will you be successful?
Yeah, but yeah, marketing might be delayed, but of course it will be successful, because if I do so much of R&D and if I do it in a very constructive way, in a scientific way and all, it might be successful.
Yes.
It takes time, because some books also takes time, 5 years, 10
yes,
years.
it does, it does.
And
It's
it will
not as
become
easy. Correct, no, Raja? But what I'm trying to say is, if the context of the audience immediately changed,
yeah, that also there. That is also there.
very
Yeah.
important. That is your cost time drivers. These are the cycle time drivers. So from the point you took to start something to the point you actually wanted to deliver, if it was beyond the time attribute or beyond the time period, wherein the context completely changed.
The best example is our pandemic.
Yes.
Pre-pandemic, what the HR was telling, post-pandemic, they cannot say now. It's completely changed now. They wanted them to come at exactly this time and then log in, and now they are asking them to sit at home and do the job.
Exactly.
They never allowed these people to sit at home. Even for 1 hour, they used to, from 9 o'clock, the whole day, almost 10 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours, people were working. Now, 14 hours, people are working at home.
Yes, I'm working 14 hours, 12, 15 hours every day.
Scenarios completely, but you're working from home, no?
Yes. But see, that is what it means. Yes.
Yeah.
The transformation, what was the cost of the transformation change? So if you were very rigid in your transformation, then it is going to be very expensive and will cost you. Keep it very flexible.
Many companies would have closed down by this. If they are not asked you to work from home and they are told most of the companies would have closed down.
Correct, no?
Post-pandemic.
Yes.
Because they allowed you to work from home. Now at least the companies are running.
Very right. Yes. So
adaptability.
Very right. Very right. So that approach is what you need to understand. So be it in behavioral training, be it in defining mission critical applications, be it in selling crystals, or even as an investment advisor. Understand what impacts your cost and what impacts your complete cycle time for your delivery, and keep it very flexible so that you can tailor in your changes aligned to the context. Guys, so these are the first 5 very generic pointers which we can think about in any transformation industry. And now let me touch upon the last one before we close, because after 7, it's very technical. So I will not touch upon those. Let's keep it to the context of the audience. Now, agile planning, what is very important is, even when you're actually doing a particular initiative, first understand, what is your capacity? What does capacity mean here? I mean, we can ask, yes, whom could we ask here? Sorry. So the Uma, I think, isn't it? Selling crystals. Uma, how long do you generally spend your time to make an effective sale? Sorry, is Uma there?
Not there.
No, I think she's not there. Okay. So the whole idea, what I'm trying to make people understand here is understand your capacity as to how many hours can you actually execute, right? Based on so Raja, if you went on to you took 2 months to write a book, right?
Yes, sir.
Could you have actually written a book in within a week?
That's very difficult. It's very difficult.
Very difficult. Why? Because that
It was sort
initiative.
of imagination. No, it is a creative job. It cannot be done
Exactly.
overnight. It is not copywriting something.
Exactly. Exactly.
Creativity, imagination, everything has to come. It has to flow. It takes time. Every day I used to get up at 4:30 for that, and I used to write the early morning hours. Wherein you got after meditation, you get your energy so much, your vibrations and all is so much. So automatically, the words used to come just like that flow.
Excellent.
But post lunch, I cannot even write one word. One line also I cannot write. It is because of that, the creativity, no?
So you understand your capacity with respect to how many hours can you effectively put in, correct?
Yes, yes, yes.
So whatever you're planning must be in line to your capacity of idle hours or in what you can actually do.
Sure,
that is what you need to understand. So what initiative actually, so if you actually went on to plan to say, I will write 2 books in 1 week, is that possible? No, because your plan doesn't suffice to your capacity that is available in number of hours that you have, right? So any point of time, please understand.
Some days it so happens. Some days you'll have very good mood. Some days your energy will be high. Some days you will not be even feeling to even get up in the morning.
Yes.
See, you are human beings. Yeah, we are human beings, emotional beings. We cannot be we are not machines here. We cannot be a robot. Wherein your creativity works all the 60 days also. So some days were very good. Some days were a little bit low. Some days were I have not done at all something. So it happens. It depends upon the creativity is like that only.
Exactly. Now, I mean, we are thinking as you as one individual, Raja. Imagine a company who's running hundreds of initiatives. They don't sometimes think to say, does this initiative falls under my capacity? This is something that is not thought.
Yes, yes, yes.
This has led to multiple losses, and that is what agile planning is all about.
I agree.
Agile planning means which of the initiatives falls under 50% of your current capacity. Those is something that you want to prioritize. Initiatives that takes more than 80% of your priority takes second priority. Third initiative, basically, then you say, okay, it takes 100% of my capacity. Let me take that as the third priority. Not only is customer what he's saying should be taken, but also must consider your capacity as a point of factor. That's something that you need to factor in when you plan. So guys, before I close, most important things when you want to bring in performance in your organization is, let me state these 5 important statements. Why I keep repeating these 5 important statements is because over my last 7-8 years, specifically in transformation, I have seen companies not effectively doing these 5 things very well. First is, always create a foundation where you have sound practices which is aligned to customer experiences. Second, structure your organization to the flow of value. If you do not align your structure to the flow of value, you'll deliver something which you think is very good, but actually is not of value to your customer. In a mobile phone, what percentage of features do you use regularly on a daily basis? Only 20%.
Yes.
80% is waste. Had companies actually thought about it, would they have not thought about saving costs?
Marketing strategy.
Yes.
They want to attract the customer. No?
Yeah, but what would the customer, when you're not actually using it, why would I want it? So that analysis probably has not gone through by multiple mobile phone companies. Today they're taking it through. They're making different brands to different people. That's okay. But that process has to happen. Third very important point. members in your organization must be adaptable to changing context. If not, as I said, you will deliver something of not of much use to the customer. Fourth very important point, align technology and people together. If you don't think about technology, if we only went on to write books in the hard copy, that is why you can look at very big stores in the US where the sales have dropped so badly when it comes to books and have closed stores. Here in India, Sapna, all of these stores, do you think they would have still done very well if they hadn't had their books in Kindle version?
Definitely not.
Exactly. And finally, always understand your desired state not by rigid planning, but through flexible planning. Through continuous iterative planning, be able to refine your desired state continuously. If you put in these 5 steps in your transformation on a regular basis in your organization, you shall deliver continuous value and enhance profitability and sustainability. With this point, I close today's session. Although there were a lot of other slides, but as I said, are all aligned to total technical people who are in agile transformation as agile coaches or DevOps professionals, right? So I didn't want to get into that because it will surely bore you, all of you. It won't make any sense, right? So yes, with that statement, I bring closure to today's session.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot for your great information.
Sure. I will share the
Thank you,
slides, all of you.
Ritesh.
Please go
Yes,
through.
please.
Yes. And what I also want to do next, within next 2-3 weeks is, I would like to share my experiences as an agile coach, which is going to be even more interesting because coaching is not just about an individual, it's about behavior, mindset, isn't it? So let me share my experiences of successes and failures as a coach. And I'm sure it could be very interesting. And maybe later I will also talk about digital transformation. And there are a lot of other things, strategy. What is my experience with digital strategy? Raja, what if we had to apply digital strategy in your publishing, right? In your
Yeah.
books?
Yeah.
How do
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
do it?
Amazon only I've done, no? It's digital only.
Yes. And for mission critical applications, sir, if we went on to actually bring in digital strategy, how will it help? And the next time, Uma wants to sell her crystals, what touch points of digital touch points can we bring? What about blockchain? How is machine learning in aligned to your selling crystals? They're all amazing insights which I'll share, and I'm definitely will help you in helping your businesses move forward.
Sure. Thank you.
Anything else, guys? I hope you enjoyed the session. I didn't bore you guys.
No. It was quite interesting, yeah. The way you explained it out was actually good, actually. Little bit of technicality, but I'm not a corporate person. So it was actually a little bit of, but still you made it very interesting.
Yes.
You made it more interactive and interesting also. Thank you for that.
Sure.
Because of the interactive only, I was also more engaged.
Yes, we need to be very collaborative. That is what is important, isn't it? And
Yes,
that
sure.
collaboration as an aspect is very important in your business too.
Yes.
If you're not collaborative with your customer,
Yes.
you will not know what he actually wants.
Yes. Yes.
Any
Very
question, guys, which I can take now, or you can write to me. And if anybody is really interested in getting into the technicality of, or any agile coaches, any DevOps coaches out there who really want to know how transformation has gone through 3 or 4 companies that have been, I'll be willing to, do a complete 30 to 35 hours session, which will carry on for 6 to 8 weeks, and you will get certified as an agile enterprise coach. I can help you guys with that.
Thank you, Ritesh, for sharing a lot of information. So anyone have a question, please ask now. Maybe if you want to. Another 5 to 10 minutes, we'll be having Q&A session.
Yes, and let me move to the last slide where I have information about
Yeah.
my company as in which I've just started.
Yeah.
Right. 1 second, guys. Sorry. I think I need, how do I, yes. So the website is under a bit in, what do you say, is revamped by Kushal. It is called Dexterity Venture. You have my contact, once the email is also up, I will share the professional email with you, but the Twitter and the LinkedIn is set up. So yes, so we can, please.
You included arigato money also. What is it? Arigato money,
Sorry?
Arigato money.
Arigato money, where is that?
Is there no arigato?
Oh, these are different words of saying thank you.
Arigato is thank you.
Language.
Yes. Arigato money means thank you money. Correct. That's a Japanese word, no? Japanese word.
Yeah. Yes.
Arigato. Good. Beyond is also thank you, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, it's all thank you only.
It's all thank you.
Oh, very good. Good. A good composition, yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah, Farooq. Yeah.
Generally, value.
Yeah, Kushal, because I kept it very collaborative, probably that's why we don't have much questions.
Yeah.
Yes, we take it
questions.
forward.
That's great. Yeah. Farooq, you can introduce yourself and then ask a question.
Yeah, I have unmuted myself. Generally, in your values are enunciated in your vision statement, and vision statement is more or less firm. It doesn't change every time. So values you hold dear, and they are there for life. So what you're saying is your values should be agile. How do you reconcile to the two things?
Now, to the values is what is tied as your practices, right? So your practices are kept very flexible, and keeping those practices, you actually align it to the vision in the sense you support your vision. For example, my vision would be to keep to start a very well engaged agile transformation training and a consulting company, right? That would be my vision. So that vision can stay. But how do I bring in agile transformation? As a practice, I can use machine learning. I can move on to digital transformation. I could do blockchain, or I could do any other new technology that comes. That's how we tie practices to values to your vision.
Values are intrinsic. Say, for instance, ethics.
They are quite intrinsic in nature.
How do you change your ethics? Ethics is ethics. You can't change them.
Ethics has to be tied to values. I mean, that is a very grain line in the industry. I can quite agree to that, right? What we call as ethical these days are very contextual in nature.
So for instance, you go to a customer and he wants bride.
He wants
a bride to get the order.
Yes, that is something that we see in reality.
You won't budge with your ethics.
Now it is up to you. See, many a times, let me give you an example. There are certain engagements that I have gone through in my life, wherein the values of the organization do not suit to me. So many a times you can't change the regime of the organization. So basically, in those contexts, I left and I joined a different organization. Transformation does not mean that you have to yield to everything. Now, what I talked about leadership support here is, without leadership support, you cannot continue with your transformation. And there has been an occasion where leadership does not really understand agility at all. in such an occasion where we had to stop transformation.
Ritesh, my question is,
yes,
see, pre-pandemic, we had a different scenario
yes,
for HR professionals.
yes,
Post-pandemic, the complete scenario has completely changed.
yes.
So how do you say that this agile transformation, do you say that this is acceptable today or it was pre-pandemic?
Now, let's take
It is
this
adaptable
example
for
of,
all the seasons, of course.
yes,
Adaptability
yes.
is there for all the seasons.
Let's
But
take
has
that.
this HR professionals have the mindset has changed? Do you think your this thing, your content will change the mindset of the HR professionals today?
It should, I mean, let me give you an example of work from home. Work from home was negligible when compared before the pandemic. You would have done work from home at all on a very rare occasion.
Yes, yes.
But now, with respect to the context, work from home has been framed as a policy in an organization acceptable to all.
But
Second
still, I think,
example.
but still, Ritesh, I think these people are again at home also. They are compelling people to work for 12 hours. For like you're telling, 14 hours I am working. See, again, it is there again. See, the same policy. Instead of there, they got all the cameras and all around you, and they were controlling you. There, here they don't have camera at your home. That is the only difference they have got.
No,
But they are controlling remote control.
the policy has changed, Rajan. And that's what I'm saying. At the organization level, if you talk to your HR will say that this policy has come, but they may not have a limited number of hours there. But work from home has become a policy because of the context.
Yes.
Right? So that is how it has changed. With the context, policies keep changing and is made acceptable in the organization. So that is how it works. Yes.
Thank you.
As I said, again, agile transformation as a word, as a phrase, is not magical.
Yes.
It works, but it works with support. You need support. If I go to a company, if I tell them I'll change everything that you do, what are they going to say? Thank you, Ritesh, for working with us. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not magic. There is no magic wand to it. It works. You can bring changes. But only thing, unless you have, that is why transformation is a top-down and a bottom-up approach. It just can't be a top-down where somebody is bossing you over. It neither can be wherein we can do whatever we want. Correct, right?
Yeah,
you go to a son or a daughter and say, any change they want to bring in. You say, you need to change now. What are they going to say? What, Papa? You've gone mad or what is it going to
Yeah. They'll not accept. This generation do not accept. Yeah.
Yeah. So through support, what is their support? What is their idea? You need to understand what is their idea of change. Right? You need, if let's say my son is actually watching a lot of TV, then how do I bring in the change? If I switch off the TV, next time he's going to sit for much longer in my absence. So how do I understand what is his idea of watching TV? Right? So can I bring that same joy in something else? Right?
Yeah.
When watching TV, why don't I put in a very nice design thinking game? Right? That is the challenge of the individual who is working in education domain. You can't keep it very theoretical and like a textbook pattern where you force somebody to study. They will not study. Add a game to it. Bring the flavor of a game to it and see what happens.
Yeah.
That is why Bijus is doing so well. Because their content is very engaging. And if Biju had to come out with a course, which is their transformation, they would have studied kids.
Yes.
Right? That is what we need to bring.
So thank you, Ritesh. A lot of information you have shared. It was really useful.
Thank
And
you.
anyone want to say anything before we end the session?
Yeah, Ritesh, we were really a lot of insights here. Thanks a lot.
Sure,
You
sure.
got so much of knowledge. You got so much of insights, and you got you are. I think you are a master of this subject.
No,
You got so
not
much
a
of
math.
no. You got so much of command on your subject.
Yeah.
So it was really very interesting. Thank you.
No,
It
I
was
mean,
not boring actually. You were telling am I boring and all. No, it was more interesting actually.
yeah.
Because
I
of
mean,
paucity of time, we are closing down. Otherwise, we could have continued also.
yes. So, Raja, my one question to everyone now:
Hmm.
how can we all get together to do something better?
You are there no
Can we?
with our Kushalji.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking. Now I'm thinking. See,
Uh,
people are coming from behavioral training. You as a coach, somebody is a general manager, somebody is talking about HR, somebody is selling crystals, somebody is an investment banker. So what
yes,
should we do now? Can't we all come together and do something better to society?
definitely, definitely.
So let's do something. Let's add value to everyone around us.
Sure,
Let's
sure,
do
sure,
something
sure.
else. So that is my question and my thought process for all of you to think about it while you go to sleep. And let's all meet again with something more interesting and share ideas. What is innovation? Innovation is not all of a sudden somebody coming up with something, right? It is bringing ideas of diverse fields, how we can apply it in a different context.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, Raja. So next
Yeah.
time you write a book, I am also an author for a lot of poems. I'll give you one or two poems. We'll all publish it together.
All the best on your authorship also. You
Yes.
also become an authority. Author is an authority. You also become an authority. All the
Yes.
best.
Why not?
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Sorry I took 2 minutes extra.
No
But
problem.
yes, thank you all for your time. Please do share your feedback to Kushal. And of course, as I said, nothing should stop us from taking feedback, good or bad. But let's continuously improve. Moment we stop improving, we fail. That is my idea. Isn't it, guys?
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Excellent. Thank you, Kushal. Thank you, everybody. You can close it.
So thank you, Ritesh. Yeah, anyone want to share maybe one line or one point, anything you want to add? Okay. Okay, so thank you, Ritesh. It was really useful. And yes, there are a few questions are there. They also want to know about the training and certification as well. So already you have
Excellent.
shared contact details. They will contact you directly.
Yes,
And
please.
okay, so that's the thing. So thank you, Ritesh, for taking out your time and sharing your knowledge with us. So that's a great gesture of contributing to our community. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye-bye.